Telehealth Lifeline or Death, Part 3. People think the danger ended when the supervisor stepped in. But that was only the beginning. What people don't see is everything that happens after. The correction, the part where you left sitting with the reality that someone almost destroyed your stability because they didn't feel like doing their job. They don't see the hours after, the days after, when you're replaying every detail, realizing how close you came to losing everything because of one careless decision made through a screen. People don't understand the weight of knowing your life was almost rewritten by someone who didn't even bother to look at your records. They don't understand what it feels like to know your truth was sitting right there, documented, photographed, confirmed, and still ignored. They don't understand the kind of anger that comes from being dismissed by someone who had the responsibility to protect you, not harm you. They don't understand the kind of fear that settles in when you realize the system allows this to happen every single day. After that call, I had to sit with the fact that if that supervisor hadn't stepped in, everything would have shifted. My benefits, my support, my stability, my entire foundation. All of it was hanging on the decision of someone who didn't take 5 minutes to understand what I was living with. And that's the part people don't talk about, the aftermath. The part where you left holding the consequences of someone else's negligence while they move on like nothing happened. People don't understand how dangerous it is when the system prioritizes speed over accuracy. They don't understand how many people are being evaluated by someone who's distracted, rushed, or uninterested. They don't understand how many lives are being impacted by decisions made without information. They don't understand how many people are being misjudged, misclassified, and mistreated because telehealth has become a shortcut instead of a tool. And the truth is, once you've lived through something like this, you don't look at the system the same way again. You don't trust the process the same way. You don't assume the person on the other side of the screen is prepared. You don't assume they've read your file. You don't assume they care. You learn very quickly that you have to protect yourself because the system won't do it for you. People think telehealth is harmless because they've never had their life decided by someone who didn't care enough to look. They've never had their stability threatened by a rushed evaluation. They've never had their truth ignored by someone who didn't even pretend to understand what they were living with. They've never had to fight to correct a decision that should never have been made in the first place. They don't know the danger because they haven't lived it. I lived it. I lived the moment where everything could have shifted. I lived the moment where someone else's carelessness almost rewrote my life. I lived the moment where the truth had to be rescued by someone who actually took the time to see it. And that's why I'm speaking. Because people need to understand what's really happening behind these screens. They need to understand the risk. They need to understand the reality. They need to understand that what happened to me can happen to anyone. And until people see the truth for themselves, I'm going to keep speaking. Because silence is how this continues. And I refuse to let what happened to me be dismissed, minimized, or forgotten. This is the reality. This is the danger. And this is why I'm telling it.